I don't think that the words you're saying are.
Right. So,
I don't think so.
You're telling me I'm not doing the most perfect Australian accent right now.
We would
tell you-
I don't know why you guys can't hear it. It's incredible.
To my
Thank
ears,
you.
I'm sorry. No.
Will's just a hater.
It's a no for me, dog.
Q is a hater, dude.
I support you, Ralph.
Thank you.
I
Listen.
support you.
I just wanted you to be
I
doing it when we went live.
You're healed, Farah. You're healed.
So listen. I support you, and in that support, I will tell you when you are incorrect. But right now,
I already see the alliances forming. This is beautiful.
right? It's about to be 3 content creators, Will and Q. Oh no,
That was always going to happen.
that's fair.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. If you've never caught us before, what a time to do it. This is the first episode of a new game. Welcome. We are live from the apocalypse. We play tabletop games and make TTRPG content, actual play content like streams and podcasts and things like that to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations and important stuff. And we're currently raising money for Rainbow Railroad, some very important stuff. Which Rainbow Railroad, if you're not familiar, is a nonprofit that seeks to get LGBTQ individuals, specifically these days, trans individuals with the state of the world, somewhere safe. So whether that be a new country or a different city or region or just like out of a dangerous living situation, they will do their best to help folks. And if you would like to help them help folks, we just ask that instead of doing the normal Twitch stuff like subscribing or giving us bits or any of that stuff, you just take the $5 or the $6 or whatever you would have given to us and you give it directly to Rainbow Railroad instead. The donations are built into the stream. So where the subscribe button would normally be, donate button, click that. Things will happen. The McElroy brothers will scream at us. The things will pop up. The number that you see over the chat will go up. And Rainbow Railroad will use that money to do more important things than we ever could or would because we just play dumb games on the internet. That's kind of our thing. But we try to do a little bit of good in the process. If you really want to subscribe, if you track down that button, you can. We can't stop you. Unfortunately, we cannot turn it off. Just be aware that if you do so, Brennan Lee Mulligan, the beloved Dimension 20 Dungeon Master, will kill a dog. He will murder 1 dog for every month you are subscribed to this channel. And I would ask that you not enable him while he's trying to better himself. So I guess just decide what'll let you sleep at night. Maybe just donate to Rainbow Railroad instead. All of that being said, those are the really important things. There are channel points and emotes and all of the fun Twitch stuff, I guess, if that's what you're into. But with all that being said, hey.
Rip it, baby! Slop that down, dude! Shit, yeah, dude!
Stranger.
Crack one for the big boy.
First day and you're already donating. Thanks so much. Also, I forgot to mention we do have incentives on the stream. If you hit !donate in the chat, it will pull up the menu. If you donate $10, you can choose one of the following options that our storyteller has very generously put together for you. And I think those are the things. Those are the stuff and the things. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Alex, the storyteller. And as you may have noticed, the real monster.
Hello. I'm very excited to be playing this game, everyone. I have a phenomenal cast here, and we are playing a game that I've never run before, Changeling the Lost. I've read this book a number of times because it's beautiful, and if you ever have an opportunity to do so, I suggest it. But we're going to be doing some Changeling the Lost set in an alternate universe in 1950, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I think we should probably introduce everyone, and then I have a little story to tell you all before we get in. So I guess I'll go first, because I'm not actually a real monster. I am here for the collective good. Hey, everybody. I'm Alex. I'm the storyteller. I'm at Mightiest Finn on Twitter for as long as that exists. And then when other social medias invite me or I'm not lazy, I will go there and try and be the same thing. But if not, there will be some derivation of Finn. I'm sure you'll scroll through a lot if that has to come. Anyway, I write games. I'm running this one. I'll plug stuff at the end.
Son of a
Gonna kill that dog.
Why have you done this?
He's the bad guy. You.
All the bad guys.
Now we can officially say that was officially Fitz, right?
Stop enabling Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Please.
No,
Please.
continue. You're doing great.
There are like 2 de Villiers left. Please. And one of them's in hell. So I don't know if Brennan Lee Mulligan can get there. Okay.
He can.
He
He
can
can.
do
well,
anything.
He certainly can,
Yeah,
but
have some faith.
but that's for season 2, and I want to do that myself. Okay.
Fair.
Anyway, that's me. I'm running the thing, and I apologize to everyone who really likes Changeling the Lost rules, because this may be a crapshoot. We'll see what happens. I do have some very expert players here who will remind me when I'm off course. So
Rules are for suckers. If we're going in alphabetical order as normal, Fire, that means you get to go first.
What? Nonsense. Hello, I am Faris Arcadia. You can find me at Crossroads Games and at Farrakaya on Twitter and all of the other socials. And I'm playing Veronica Strovost. I'm very excited. Just a sweet, darling musical teacher.
Yep.
no lies detected.
Not a
None.
single one.
That's me. I am JD. I can be found on the internet at JD not Jason Dean. And in this game, I am playing Arcadia Volkov, a quiet, unassuming, innocent scientist who just wants to learn more about art.
My blood pressure is so high. So high right now. This is giving me so much anxiety.
It's gonna be great. Hi, I'm Q. You can find me on the internet, midnight_Inc. That's INQ. Q is my name. I'm sure you get it. Tonight I am playing Misha Dragunov, who is an operative of the Summer Court. Just a good little soldier. Don't even worry about it. You know, definitely not a monster. It's all fine here.
There's only one monster on this stream, and apparently it's me.
It's
That's
Will.
what it says.
It's
But it says on the
definitely
name
Will.
tag. Speaking of monsters.
Hey. Hello, I'm Raf. And tonight I will be playing Yuna Orlova. Just a sweet angel from the Spring Court, trying to bring, art back into the lives of the people. Painter, museum curator. You know how it is. It's all good, baby.
Hello, my name is Will. I'm playing Kolya Smirnov in this game, an unaffiliated changeling mechanic from the town where our game is taking place, who never asked for any of what's about to happen. I've seen war, I've seen prison, I've seen worse than that. We'll see if this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. That's what I got.
All right.
Does
Well,
your file say "fuck you" at the bottom?
Yeah, where they asked me to sign my name. Yeah.
I didn't notice that before. That's wonderful. I
That's
love that.
fantastic.
I can't take credit. Alex did that. Thank you so much for
Alex.
capturing the spirit of this character exactly.
Yeah, wonderful.
I tried to internalize everything I knew about Kolya, and it just seemed like a massive middle finger to the establishment. So here we are. We've met our 4 content creators and mechanic. And so I think that we are ready to play Changeling Cold Iron. So I will start by telling you all just a little story. Snuggle in, everybody. Arcadia has fallen. Many of us were there in the final agonizing hours as burning water and smothering fire consumed everything that the ruthless, hate-fueled invading army did not. We fought, we ran, we hid, we died. The war was lost. Some of us watched in horror, others amazement, as the greatest of the true Fae were twisted and brought down by the poisonous, vicious hatred of our implacable foe. Who could have foreseen that it would be the hatred of mere mortal humanity that brought the gentry to their knees? We thought we knew hatred at their cruel smiles and the barbed promises of our Fae masters. But we hated as a child hates. Our hate was tinged with fear, and under it all, recognition that we needed the object of our hatred to survive. The hatred of our enemy was pure and all-consuming, and we didn't stand a chance. There was nothing we could do but flee, and we sealed the portals shut behind us with fell magics, with oaths of steel and blood, and with tears for a home already lost to us forever. Arcadia burned, and we found ourselves strangers in a familiar land, in a world we once called home before we were taken beyond the hedge. But we were not the first changelings to escape from Arcadia. Others had escaped before the war and established themselves in positions of power in the human world. Comrade Stalin, the Winter King, already ruled an entire empire called the Soviet Union as we fled Arcadia. He offered us a safe haven, shelter, and protection in exchange for service to the state. With little other choice, we agreed. That was in 1935 using one of this world's calendars. It's now 1950, and we've survived war and purge, countless dangers from this world and others, and yet it simply does not seem to be enough. What happened to us in Arcadia changed us forever, and although we can never return, we still feel the pull, a call to fill the void left inside all of us that can never be filled with the stuff of this world. All we have left of Arcadia is stories, and half-remembered hazy memories of the world that was. In these stories we can take some comfort, for the power of stories is enough to sustain us in the darkest, leanest, and most difficult of times. There are more stories in this world than there are stars in the sky, and that assuredly is a positive sign, because if we run out of stories to tell, we might as well have stayed in Arcadia. So we tell stories to one another of lost Arcadia to soothe that pain we can never fully heal.
Yeah, just
to remember.
Grip it and rip it, baby. Slop that down, dude. Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, thanks, Will's mom. My screen is so small, I can't see who's doing it. Appreciate you. So we tell stories to one another of lost Arcadia to soothe the pain we can never heal, to remember, even for a moment, the haunted, beautiful home we have lost forever, to inspire us to rebuild, to live, and to endure. This could be one of those stories. That remains to be seen. But it begins on a train, chasing the sunset, speeding west from Moscow to the Baltic resort town of Kaliningrad. This kind of train is known as a prizhak, or ghost train, one that will never appear on any schedule. It does not stop at the small stations that stand between it and its destination, and whose occupants might already be counted among the dead. It was sent by the Central Committee in Moscow with special purpose, and the residents who live within earshot of the train's mournful whistle suppress a shudder and avert their eyes as the metal serpent roars past, transporting its precious cargo. The train locomotive is a prototype, P36 designation 0001, fresh from the Kolomna Locomotive Works in the outskirts of Moscow, and it consists of 4 passenger cars. The engine is painted a dark green with a red Soviet star on the smoke box and a stripe also in red, which runs along the sides. The cars are older and venerable, and they rock gently as the train thunders its way along, each one containing a single solitary passenger. As the black smoke and sullen orange sky give way to a richly appointed private car worthy of a czar, I think it's time that we introduce some of our changelings. The first of which, the Herald of the Spring Court, sits alone in Spring's private car. The lights of the antique brass sconces are burning very brightly. The electric bulbs are straining to contain the energy with which they glow. That buzzing is just filling the compartment. You can hear it over everything, even the sound of the train. But otherwise, this compartment is decorated in a rich gold. There's dark wood. The carpet is green and thick, reminiscent of a field after the first good rain of the year. The entire compartment smells of flowers and sun. Raf, could you tell us a little bit about what we see Yuna is doing?
You see Yuna sitting by the window. She has very, very pale skin, kind of yellowed almost, partially because of her very sunburnt golden straw hair. It's curled and falls to about mid-back, tied very loosely at the nape of her neck. She has cloudy, stormy eyes, and a very small smile. But for the most part, she's very forgettable, very plain looking. She sits in complete silence. She has a sketchbook on her lap, just sketching the scenery as it washes by. And next to her is a very, very large roll of leather, carries all of her painting supplies.
Very good. So, as you boarded the train, you only had a few hours from when you were given your directive to go to Kaliningrad from your superiors. So, I'd like to take us back a moment and look at Yuna's day before we arrived at this point. So, after your usual business hours at the museum, I believe you were out on the town. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you have a number of bars that you've been to in the city, but you picked a new one because that seems to be your modus operandi, and you found a sort of rundown, not quite a hole in the wall, but like it's a place where the elite certainly don't go. It's called the People's Strength, and it's got a big red star over the door, and it's a place where the human functionaries who make up the sort of middling and lower ranks of the bureaucracy go to visit. And as you walk in, it is the saddest place you've seen in a long time.
This will do perfectly.
There is one bartender with very glassy eyes. He's somewhere else. There are patrons here who are all their own island. You know, no one is talking. Everyone is just focused on their drinks and forgetting the fact that they're just going to have to do this again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, until they die.
Isn't it wonderful? I think Yuna sits at the corner of the bar, like most closest to the wall, the seat that nobody likes. And she gazes out just taking in the scenery. She has a couple of drinks. And I think after a few, she walks over to the nearest lonesome person or group of people, I suppose. And she just says, would you like to play a game?
The gentleman who is drinking he looks like he's in his 50s, but is probably closer to his late 30s. He's got that sort of tired sagginess that one develops when one never sees the sun and sits in a cubicle for 12 hours a day. There's a lot of paperwork. And he looks up at you, his eyes are bleary. He says, what sort of game?
Have you ever played Medved pre-show?
He shakes his head. I have not.
Wonderful. We're going to need more people. And I think she just starts pulling some of the tables together and kind of bringing in more of these sad folks, asking them the exact same question.
There's a lot of scraping and a look from the bartender who's like, I don't know what you're doing, but there is something about you that when you ask people this, maybe it's just that, you know, they're in a place where they're fuck it, you know, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? But you do manage to wrangle up about 6 people by the time all is said and done.
I think she feels kind of the bartender's eyes on her, and she goes to the bar and she's going to order to start 2 cold bottles of vodka and 7 shot glasses.
Those appear.
Wonderful. She takes them to the table and she says, now, Mediev Rishol. Very simple. We drink, of course. And then I call out, here comes the bear. And we hide from the bear. We must hide under the table. I watch. I see. The bear is gone. We come up from the table that protect us. And we celebrate. We drink. But the bear always returns. And so we must hide again. And, well, the last person standing wins.
There's a lot of eyebrow raising and slow nodding and looks, but these 6 strangers who have never met each other or you, this is suddenly, maybe this is going to be an interesting evening. The nice lady is paying for our drinks at the very least. So
as she's kind of explaining the rules, I think she just takes the shot glasses and just pours out 7 very, very full shots and hands one gently to each person and just says, to begin, a toast to a good night, good friends, and the people.
People.
And I think they play. And I think she just wants to get them absolutely trashed.
Incredible. So this continues. You're harvesting some glamour from this, I imagine. So what did we decide that your harvesting was? It was manipulation and
mechanics wise, you mean?
yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, I know we just talked about
Manipulation
this.
and yes, and socialize for this specific situation.
Okay, so how many dots do you have in manipulation and how many dots do you have in socialize?
Good fucking question. I have 3 in manipulation and 2 in socialize.
Right. I'm also going to give.
Question for you, since we're doing mechanical stuff now. I am skilled in drinking.
So that gives you a +1 to your
Wonderful.
pool. So you'll roll 6 d10s, and you're trying to get 8s, 9s, or 10s. And remember, this game also has a function called 10 again, or if you're familiar with Savage Worlds, it like an exploding dice, where if you roll a 10, you get to re-roll it. And if you roll a 10 again, you just keep re-rolling until you don't get a 10 anymore.
Okay. So, 8, 9, 10?
8, 9, 10. The math is in your favor.
The math was very closely not in my favor, but I did get an 8, yes.
Okay. All right. So that is a success, and that's going to be enough that by the end of several rounds, you know, you've got these people, they're like hiding under the table. Shh, the bell is coming. We got to be quiet. And, you know, someone lets out a little giggle and someone else like, shh. And they're all like super into it. And there's one guy who's like passed out in the corner after a few more rounds. There's one group, like there's 2 people who are just like making out in the corner by all of this. Someone is vomiting, just throwing their guts up because they had too many. And there's one guy, it's that same guy that you met in the very beginning, who's still standing, and he says, I believe this means I win.
I believe this means you do. Let us decide your price. And I think she just pulls out a small notebook and very, very quickly sketches out a scene of the entire bar. Man puking in the corner, 2 people making out, the whole thing. And she just rips it out and hands it over to him and says, for your memories.
This is very good. You were very talented.
I'm just a simple artist.
Sort of looks blearily at the pictures. Who's this man? Who is this? Is this me?
Of course.
Don't think I've looked that handsome in 30 years.
I draw what I see.
He like takes the picture and kisses it. Thank you. I will cherish it always. And he like puts it in his pocket but misses, and it like falls out. And then he just sort of like sits down and passes out.
I think at that, she reaches over and just puts a very, very gentle hand on his shoulder and says, I will cherish you forever. And then she just walks out.
Incredible. So once you've done your harvest, you'd normally go home. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So
to my studio.
So you're heading back when there's this very faint but perceptible tension at the base of your skull. It's part whisper, part touch, but you know exactly what it means.
Mm-hmm.
It means your boss wants to speak with you right now.
Mm-hmm. I think, how close am I to the studio?
Walking distance, certainly.
Perfect.
All right.
I hurry. So, not a stumble in my step, let me tell you.
Incredible. So the Portrait Gallery and Party Museum, of which you are the curator, is closed to the public at this point. But, you know, you got your keys, you walk in. You're walking through your half-lit galleries filled with portraits of various party members that you've painted. And you you know this place like the back of your hand. So it's just like you go in, you get to the central rotunda where there's this bronze, larger than life statue of Lenin, the real Lenin, not the other one. And you always feel this like weird pang of discomfort when you see it because it's very clumsy. It's like someone has attempted to render the power and grace of that changeling into metal. And if it were a skilled artist, it can be done, but
Metal does not suit him.
correct. Now, this is done here since before you were in charge, and you can't get rid of it. But it is one of those things. Once you're in your office, you notice the parcel at once. There is a plain brown envelope on your desk. It certainly wasn't there when you left. And your boss is looking annoyed at having to wait. Their portrait is hanging in front of your desk. It is a stern woman with hair the color of iron and a face that looks as if it was hewn from granite. She stands, arms folded across her uniform, and you're fairly certain she wasn't standing that way before.
Sorry, there's no excuse.
The portrait stares at you.
I understand. And she opens the parcel.
So, I will direct your attention to the briefing which I provided you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also let you know that you have orders to depart on the Kaliningrad train at 7 o'clock. That's an hour from now.
Right away. And she's just going to run out and quickly. The only thing really she grabs is her. It's absurdly long. I want to say maybe almost 5 feet leather roll. And she starts quickly packing her painting supplies and a friend and rolls it up.
Fantastic. So we will then follow Yuna to the station where the train is waiting. You board. No questions are asked. You are clearly expected. I will say that the train from Moscow to Kaliningrad takes 23 hours. It is a long ride. There are no stops. So the last thing I want to just ask is what Yuna is thinking about as we pull the camera away.
I think she is sketching to try to forget the look of disapproval on her superior's face. And in her mind, just over and over again, she's just thinking, faster, faster, Yuna. Next time, faster.
Incredible. So as we leave Yuna with her thoughts, the camera travels out of the spring compartment, heads between the gap, and goes into the next passenger car. The compartment of Summer's Herald is warm, almost uncomfortably so. And although the bulbs burn even more brightly in this car than in Spring's, and there's a warm yellow light suffusing the entire car, there are also deep pockets of shadow created by private booths. The car smells of heat and metal, with a faint trace of salt water, freshly cut grass. The red carpet is plush, and the overstuffed chairs are quite welcoming. And Q, could you please describe how we find Misha?
Of course. Misha is in one of the booths. The light above him has been unscrewed. So there's no shadow. There's only darkness here. It's the small pockets that is slightly cooler than the rest of the cabin. while he is summer, he is not typically one for the warmth and the heat. But he is comfortable enough for now. And he is sitting in that way. If you've seen the dead, sort of waiting for action, he's completely still and just sort of waiting for some sort of order or action to happen to him.
And what is Misha wearing? What do we see?
He's decked out in all black. There's one of the military caps with the bills. There's a gas mask, that's how words work. And a long black coat. He is head to toe covered because we hate for that accursed Daystar to touch any of this. It does not feel great.
The Daystar is cruel.
It
and
is
fiery.
Right. And so while this is warm, it is better than being burnt alive.
Correct. So, like Yuna, you boarded this train after your orders to board it. There's like an hour or two in between them. What you were coming back from a mission, I believe, when you got the orders. There was a local party boss in Minsk. You know, one of these stupid, corrupt humans who got way in over their head, and the party found out. Your bosses found out, and they dispatched you to do what you do best.
Of course.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you like games, he tried to run like an idiot. Was he delivered alive or dead?
One such as that does not work on his own. So, he was delivered alive. Fairly.
To a certain room?
Of course. We have questions, and he will of course have answers. The answers can be found in room 101, whether they desire that or not.
That is very true. So once your parcel has been delivered, what does your routine look like once you're finished with one of these missions?
He will generally go to his commanding officer.
Well, that is none other than General Zhukov, or Field Marshal Zhukov himself, the Summer King. And the Summer King resides in Leningrad, so you would have deposited in Moscow and then traveled back home. And if you're reporting into the Summer Court, ironically, it's in the Winter Palace. Say what you will about Zhukov, he at least has a sense of humor. So as you arrive, the Red Army Guards recognize you instantly, and they give you a very, very wide berth. There's a lot of like stiff saluting, and the posture is one of absolute terror. But
which he has learned that he should show himself. He's scared one too many a soldier who has trained a gun on him. So he walks very purposefully, being seen to go see the field marshal.
All right. So, I mean, even though these are like the elite of the Summer Court, they are like, and even though you're making an effort, your reputation precedes you. And they, even though the palace is quite warm, their blood is quite frozen in their veins. But the Summer King, Field Marshal Zhukov, greets you as he always does in his private study. He is a very burly Fireheart elemental changeling, and the heat that radiates off of him isn't heat you feel outwardly, but you feel it inside, in your soul. He's dressed in his uniform that he wore during the Great Patriotic War, and his chest is absolutely encrusted with ribbons and medals and just like marks of honor. And he turns and says, "Well then, Prijak, has it been taken care of?"
That he has been delivered to room 101.
Very good. Hopefully he will sing, and we will find out who his co-conspirators are.
Well, if there's one thing the mistress of room 101 is good at, it is getting answers.
I am aware of her talents. How are you? Did he give you any trouble?
No. And barely a challenge. He's hard to run.
More the fool he. Well, that's good, because I have something else for you. And I think you may find this more in keeping with your talents. Perhaps a challenge? And he has like a little glint and smirk in his eye. And he gives you the packet that includes the brief that I gave you earlier.
Takes it, reads through it quickly, hands it back.
Very good. And it just like incinerates. Like he just touches it and it just burns away.
Yes.
Yep.
So, when am I leaving?
Now.
Of course, Field Marshal.
Don't let us down, Misha.
Of course. And he just sort of steps back.
It fade into shadows. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like Yuna, you also have had basically a full day of isolation. Are you just sitting there the whole time? Just waiting?
Yeah, just waiting.
Okay.
So he's a darkling. And, partially, not alive.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
No big deal.
Yeah. He's probably asleep.
Does he dream?
Of course.
What does he dream of?
It's jumbled.
Of course.
Memories of lives lived, battles fought. Some that seem familiar and yet altogether alien. He is a warrior, as he is now, but different somehow. And it is both comforting and unsettling, because it feels like he should know, and yet no memories are pulled from these dreams.
Disconcerting, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
We will leave Misha in his half-dead, half-living, dreaming state. And the camera moves again, and we are going to pass into the third passenger car, which is that of Autumn's Herald. There is a chill in the air of this car, and it carries with it the smell of wood smoke, mold, decay. But there's also warmth, simmering spiced cider, baking pie, the comforts of oncoming death. The rhythmic sound of the train sounds almost like the clattering of ancient bones for a moment, as the camera focuses in on a solitary figure at an old oaken table. The carpet is deep brown and dusty, the leather of the chair fading and slightly cracked. The wallpaper, peeling but decorated in faded gilt leaves, is a warm ochre. The light of the electric bulbs flicker occasionally, and the subdued lighting conceals far more than it reveals. But JD, why don't you reveal a little bit of Arcadia for us?
I would love to. Arcadia has chosen a seat where he can have his back to a wall and survey the entirety of the carriage, even though there is no reason to think that would be necessary given that he is the sole occupant. He is sitting at an angle with one knee up on the seat beside him, a notebook resting there, and he is writing through a series of equations that appear to be chemistry. Despite the fact that he is alone and it is not necessary to be in this garb, he is wearing the lab coat that he always wears, buttoned all the way up to the throat, to the point where, as the lights flicker, there are moments where he looks like a ghost sitting in the darkness. His glasses occasionally catch the light, and there are a few instances where thickly yellowish color reflects off. And otherwise, he looks every inch the quiet, unassuming scientist. Short cropped, dark hair. He is 6'2", though you can't tell because he is so hunched over in this moment. I think that is all we need from Arcadia for this exact moment.
Fantastic. So it was just another day at the lab when the summons came. What does Arcadia at his office job what sort of environment is he in, and what is his place in it when he heard the call?
Arcadia is one of many scientists in this lab. He would likely be considered in the middle of the hierarchy there. He is not so low that he would be consistently being given orders, but he is also not one of the scientists who stand back and only observe.
So whatever you've been working on, there's a lot of focus in the room. It's quiet. Most of the scientists here are either changelings of the Autumn Court like yourself, or sort of lower ranking humans who wouldn't know that you are changelings, but there's just a hush in this office, in this lab, which means that the voice that you hear in your head, which, despite sounding like the crunching of dried leaves, is very loud. And it simply intones, "You are required." And you know exactly what that means, and you know what you have to do.
Arcadia is familiar enough with this experience that his hand does not even shake, though he is in the process of pouring liquid from one beaker into another. And he completes that task before setting the beaker down and stepping away. And I do not think anyone questions this.
No, I think part of it is there's, that aura of we don't question, but there's also perhaps a level of we don't notice. Yeah, I think it's just you're existing in an anonymity that people overlook, or you are making sure they don't notice. But you leave your lab and you make your way to the Lubyanka building, which is near the Red Square. It has that famous neo-Baroque facade emblazoned with the hammer and sickle, and the very granite under your feet as you enter the building has inset symbols of the hammer and sickle. You quickly pass through the public areas of the building, and the omnipresent guards there also know you, and they also give you a rather wide berth. The place you are going requires you to take a back staircase, so you open it up, and just immediately, it's like one of those cement back staircases with the metal railings. There's no ornamentation here because the people who are here aren't to be impressed. But you go up, and the screams and cries for help of the basement sort of follow you up until you get to the office to which you've been summoned, which is at the top floor. And the door is open, and you've been here before, so you know the drill. This place is both intimate and kind of chilly at the same time. Everything is in a state of functional disrepair. It's shabby and faded from whatever former glory or beauty it may once have held. And the Autumn King himself reclines very easily in a threadbare, overstuffed chair. You're not sure you've ever seen him do any work. But there is this cracked and dried leather book sitting on his lap, And to anyone else, he looks like he's asleep. You know he is not. But as you enter, Lavrenti Beria, this autumn monarch, sort of cracks an eyelid, sees it's you, nods you to a chair across from him.
I will make note that when Arcadia is going up the stairs, he moves at a speed that is surprising, given the relatively sedentary nature of his job. And he pauses in the doorway before being allowed to enter, hands crossed behind his back, and then steps over to the chair and sits down and awaits his instructions.
The autumn monarch doesn't say anything for several very uncomfortable moments.
No,
Maybe
they're
he
fine.
went back to sleep.
They're fine. We can sit in silence.
Finally, he says, "We have a problem, Arcadia." And he sort of like reaches over to a table and hands you an envelope, which contains the briefing that I sent you. And he says, "Were you acquainted with Dr. Morozov?"
I knew of him, as we all did, but I would not consider myself to be an acquaintance.
Well, he was one of ours, at any rate. You'll read all about it, but we cannot allow this insult to the honor of Autumn to go unpunished.
Understood.
You understand, of course. Because he was of Autumn, we cannot help you overtly.
That is also understood.
And you understand, of course, what would happen to you if you were to fail me in this. And his eyes gesture to the door, where there is one very, very faint cry.
I am well aware of what will happen were I to fail, and I would not be foolish enough to make that mistake. Arcady holds on to the file for a few moments longer than perhaps he needs to, looking at a few of the paragraphs. To the Autumn King and asks, "May I?" He does go to pack a bag, though what it could include, except for some more lab coats, who would know? But that is sitting beside him.
All right. And before
He is thinking about the occupants of the other cars, those he is familiar with and those he is less familiar with. And he is considering what he might have to do to fulfill the orders he has been given.
Fantastic. Well, then, as we leave Arcadia to brood on that particular point, the camera finally goes to the final passenger car on the train, where the temperature is that much above freezing. Frost coats all of the windows, and the intricate patterns are almost intelligible. Like if you just could concentrate enough, you might make sense of it. But it's not the windows that are going to draw our attention in this room. Even though curtains are drawn, the thick blue velvet curtains are an ominous threat to any light that would dare enter here. The bulbs are burning just enough so that it's dim, and the carpet is deep blue with silvery patterns, similar to the windows, and there is absolutely nothing comfortable about the furniture here, and the only smell in this compartment is that of cold. And it is the final lone figure that draws our immediate attention. Farah, could you please describe Veronica for us?
Of course. Veronica is a slight woman, 5'3", 5'4", a dancer's build, dressed exquisitely in her uniform, perfectly pressed as if frozen in place. Her hair is dark and long, with waves at the front and a bun at the back. Her skin is snow white, and her eyes are the color of ice. She is all angles, and her eyes, as she looks around the room, disappointed at how warm it is, are cold.
So, your usual work in room 101 today was rather annoyingly interrupted by one of these low-level, nondescript human couriers wearing that drab uniform. The invitation, however, was quite elaborate in its design. The wording, also very simple. Lunch, Aragvi, today.
Veronica would have set down the scalpel, said goodbye to her little bird, cleaned her hands, rearranged her sleeves, hung up her apron, and made her way to the restaurant.
So, once you get to the extremely fashionable Aragvi restaurant in the Hotel Dresden, you are immediately seated by the very obsequious maitre d', and the Aragvi specializes in Georgian cuisine from the Caucasus, and you know it's one of your superior's absolute favorite places to dine. And when he does, he is given a very wide berth in a dining room that is usually crowded with party elite. This is the case when you are seated across from Party Secretary Malenkov. He has a number of dishes in front of him, including one that you recognize as a particular favorite of his, setsivi, which is a chicken in a walnut sauce, and he is eating it with gusto. When you are seated, he gives you a very wide but humorless smile and offers you a glass of Abkhazian wine.
I thank you. To what do I owe the pleasure?
He holds up a finger and keeps eating. And he actually says nothing to you as he eats this entire meal, which takes time. Like he's not even looking at you. It's just you are here to be in his presence and to be seen to be in his presence. And after several courses, do you eat?
No. She examines all of the other diners, and if anyone meets her eyes, she gives them a very small smile that does not touch them.
One idiot is dumb enough to meet your eyes and then quickly looks away. But finally, at the end of his meal, he passes you a plain brown envelope as he drains his glass. It is the briefing, which I provided to you before. And before you even have a chance to open it, he says, terrible business.
Isn't it just? Most of it is, after all.
There is bad, and there is terrible. We can't have scientists being killed in the street, or the beach, rather.
Either way, she flips through the papers and comes across one particular line, and she pauses and looks up. Understood.
I'm glad.
Hmm.
Now, I'm sure this is all some sort of wild bear hunt. Comrade Stalin is, of course, not concerned. Still, the other courts are all getting their knickers in a twist, so we have to show that we're helping out, right?
Of course.
Waste of time, if you ask me, but
Of course.
I had to be seen to put one of my best on it.
One of your best.
You know what I mean. Still,
Of course.
enjoy the beach. I hear Kaliningrad is lovely this time of year. And he looks outside, and it's September, and it's just like gentle, drizzly rain. I don't know it's much different from here.
If it's on the coast, perhaps it's colder. That would be nice. It's too hot.
Is there anything else you need from me? Of course, we can't be seen to show favoritism.
I left a little something back in the room. If someone could look after it until I can come back and make them sing, I would be very appreciative.
We'll make sure you are going to grab, because like he dismisses you, puts you.
She grabs a change of clothing, but she already has her bag of tricks on her at all times, so it does not take long.
Right. So again, you arrive at the train station. You are put on your car without question. The porters give you. It's not that they're terrified. It's just that they're very scared. So they.
It's foolish. They should be terrified.
They should be, but they, there's a lot of scary things in this world. Veronica is one of them. I'll say that much. But your belongings are put on board the train with as much efficiency as a group of terrified workers can muster. And as the train pulls off, you do have some time. So is there anything you are thinking about as we make our way? It's not that the train is going slowly. It's actually going quite quickly. It's just that it's a long distance to go.
First, she's thinking of some of the things that were said in that dossier that displease her. But then she shrugs it off, starts playing chess in her head to pass the time.
Right. I assume you get through several games.
I mean, over 23 hours. Go through half the library.
So, with that, the camera is going to move out of the back of the train, twist, and then it is going to race along ahead, along the train tracks, out across the open plains of the Moscow hinterlands, through the rugged northern foothills of the Belarusian Socialist Republic, and into Lithuania, where the tracks follow the curves of the Niemen River for some miles, until finally we can see the city of Kaliningrad in the distance. The camera slows as it follows those tracks into the Kaliningrad South Railway Station, relatively new building built in the 1920s when the Germans still controlled this city and it was known by a different name. But that's for another time. With the trains coming here across the Soviet Union, Kaliningrad terminus here is a busy station at almost any hour. We have bustling crowds and obscuring smoke from the trains. And standing amongst all of that, we find the last member of our motley, awaiting the arrival of the court heralds requested. by the Kaliningrad Soviet Council. Will, could you please describe Kolya for us?
Can. Kolya, the first thing that anybody would notice about Kolya is that he is large. He is 7 feet tall if he is a foot, and he is broad as well. He is not just tall, he is built very powerfully, but there is something of like age to his features. He looks older than he actually is in a way that is very hard to describe. He has long hair that is shot through with strands of gray. It is sort of a darkish brown, a beard similarly shot through. And there are some of his hair is braided in a few places, sort of plaited into braids. He dresses very, very simply. I think he is wearing like a blue, a very almost threadbare, sort of rough spun blue button down shirt. That kind of the threadbareness is clearly because he has a hard time finding clothes that fit him. And besides that, he is really just wearing like work boots, suspenders, very practical outfit. A jacket over that to protect against the winter. I think anybody who looked closely would be able to tell that the jacket is a military coat, though whether that is just a surplus or what is very hard to say. But standing there, the other thing that people immediately notice about Kolya is that he is covered in tattoos. And most people, I think, would be able to recognize that these are not regular tattoos. These are Russian prison tattoos. And the ones that are immediately visible with how he is currently dressed, hands in the pocket of he has a large cross tattooed on his forehead over his right eye. And under each of the skulls, there is a sentence written in tiny, spidery Russian. Under one eye, it says, God above all. And under the other eye, it says, all above God.
Incredible. So this mountain of a man standing amongst the bustling crowds is quite a sight that all of our changelings will see in a moment, but we are going to flash back not to the beginning of this day, but the beginning of yesterday, which is in fact when you were summoned by the Kaliningrad Council. Your day started normal, at least normal enough. You had the usual ebb and flow of people into the shop. Common problems, simple solutions. It's just that there are a lot of them, and only one of you, or at least a small number of you. It was in one of those quiet moments between jobs when you're enjoying some tea or a snack of some kind when you noticed the runner from the council sort of lurking in the doorway. And you've seen him enough times to know that whenever he has arrived, it can't mean anything good, especially this early in the day.
I see you standing there, yes. Don't skulk. Come in.
Straightens up. I am sorry. The council has requested your presence immediately.
Of course they have. Always when I am working. Did they say what this was in regards to?
He sort of looks around to make sure that no one is looking, and he says, I think there is a major problem at the beach. And then he looks ashamed, like he shouldn't have even told you that.
My friend, this is the truth of councils. Everything is a major problem.
Well, it may not be a major problem for them, but they make it a major problem for me. Which means it's a major problem for you.
We can't have that, can we?
So he will gesture, and there is one of the council's official cars sitting outside waiting for you.
Okay. I think Kolya was taking a break. He had this very small, almost comically small teacup in his hands, way too small for his hands. And he, with a sigh, kind of sets it down. There's a massive engine block on the table in front of him that he was working on. With a sigh, he lifts the engine block off of the table and then carries it back over to the car that he had extracted it from and just sort of gently sets it back into where it was resting before. And then wipes his hands off with a rag and says, let's go.
Excellent. So the car that you get into is one that the council has a number of, like, they have a vehicle fleet, and you have serviced most of them before. But it is a GAZ M20 Pobeda Executive, which is a pretty nice car in this man's Soviet Union. But it's painted brown, and it has the seal of the city on it. And it's not comfortable, but because it's big enough to accommodate you, and that might be one of the reasons they sent this particular car. But it brings you to City Hall, and when you arrive there, the local police guard takes you in to the official council chambers, which are not used unless the council is sitting and in session and present, which they never do this early in the day. But when you get in, you see that they're all there in their respective chairs around the table, and you recognize them all, and I will give you a brief rundown, and everyone, you may want to take notes on this because these will be NPCs with whom you will interact with at a later date. First, we have Arina Martov. She is a Hunter Heart Kith of the Beast Seeming. She is Spring's representative, a incredibly beautiful, vivacious woman, seems to be in her early 40s, and she owns the most successful restaurant in town, the Wolf's Den. She is an entrepreneur in a sense. She's got a couple other sort of side hustles. And Kolya, whenever you meet her, you always get the distinct impression that she's looking at you like she's going to try and eat you. She's got that wolfish glint and smile that is a little disconcerting. The summer representative is Konstantin Oktai, Oktai. He is an air-touched kith of the Elemental Seeming. He is the captain of the local Red Army garrison. Very clearly an older changeling. He's been here for a while. He was probably not in Arcadia when it fell, but in your experience, he's probably the chillest of them, and he is friendly with you in a distant kind of way. Autumn's counselor is Dr. Dmitry Rogozin. He is a gristle grinder kith of the Ogre Seeming. He is basically like a Kingpin, Marvel Kingpin. He's just one of those big, bulky guys, bald, no neck, but his smile is far too wide, and he has 2 rows of teeth. Dr. Rogozin is known to specialize in local folklore and legend, and he almost never shows up to these things. He doesn't talk to people, and when he does show up, it's mostly to give a yes or no when they absolutely need him there. And for him to be here now, something important's happened, as if that weren't already clear. And then the final member of the council and its chairperson is Winter's representative, Luka Nurayev, who is a bright one kith of the Fairest Seeming. Luka is the leader of the party in Kaliningrad and the chairperson of the council, so they have the power to hear petitions, implement party-approved regulations. They have a reputation for being extremely iron-fisted, and they are not known for any sort of kindness whatsoever. When they interact with you, it is almost monosyllabic, just because they don't vibe with you. And they never have. But as you enter You would note that each counselor is somewhat agitated. They all seem to have been pulled out of what they were doing. Dr. Rogozin has some kind of food dangling out of his mouth. Probably best not to ask what. And when you enter, they all just like all as a unit turn and look at you.
My friends, what is the occasion?
It's Luca who talks to you, and this is the most you've heard them talk to you ever. But they say, it's good of you to come. Dr. Oleg Morozov from the State Technical University has been killed. They found his body on the beach a few hours ago.
That is tragic.
His loss is significant, but his death is also being ruled unusual. And given his status, we have already requested assistance from the central courts in Moscow and Leningrad. As the current representative of the unaligned, your responsibility will be to extend any aid that the city can provide to their investigation. And they hand you a briefing envelope.
Surely they would be more comfortable working with someone of the courts.
Unfortunately, because of the magnitude of the crime, none of us can be seen, or none of us is so free to act that people would think us above bias and prejudice. Which is why you, as the representative of the unaligned, must fulfill that part of your oath.
Yes, the oath, of course. Would not want to betray my oath.
I mean this with all respect. You may not think much of this city. Or you may. You may not think much of us.
I think a great deal of this city.
Then I would request that in the interest of protecting it, you would make sure that these heralds from Moscow do not burn it down trying to find an answer.
Well, imagine that. Common ground.
I didn't think it would be likely, but here we are. Now, they will be here tomorrow, first thing.
Very well. This holds up the packet. Is everything that I need to know?
It is everything we currently know.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
They all turn back to each other as soon as you have spoken, and they have again forgotten you. They're all already sort of bickering amongst themselves. So you do have one day to burn before our representatives arrive. So is there anything that Kolya would be looking to do in that intervening time?
Honestly, I think Kolya would be like, okay, if I can figure this out before they even get here, then they can just turn around and go back. I think he would start asking.
I'll say that's a good point. However, any inquiries that you are making with the police, with any witnesses that may have been mentioned in that document, are immediately rebuffed. Along the lines of, until the official investigation starts, we are not speaking with you.
Of course, yes, of course. Official bargains, yes. Then I guess guess he would just try to get the word out to people that he knows to like not fuck around until this has been figured out, because
Probably wise.
yeah,
All right.
everybody has to be on their best behavior.
There's some pushback. Some like, who these fucks from Moscow think they are? If we beat what's his face in the prison to a pulp, this should be nothing.
That's the difference. We walked away from that one.
Right. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of posturing that is you can swiftly quell. That's not a problem. You are well respected enough in the communities that you are talking to that your word does carry some weight. So we will then find you back at the Kaliningrad South train station, where the train arrives exactly when it was supposed to. To the second, its brakes finally pull it to a stop, and the steam hisses out, and the doors of the 4 carriages open.
I'd like to think like someone who is checking for all potential angles of attack and any defensible points.
It is a big open train station.
Yeah.
There are a lot of is it girders or beams, crossbar beams up top. Great sniper positions in here if you wanted to.
They are great sniper positions, can confirm.
So, Misha, you're probably feeling a little exposed in this place.
Gotcha. And it's like first thing in the morning, so it's probably bright right now.
I will say dawn it's getting bright. However, it's foggy.
Oh, good. Okay.
We're on
better.
we're on the Baltic, and it's later in the year, so it's one of those there's just like a thick fog from the sea that may or may not burn away. We'll see.
Gotcha. Okay, so he does feel exposed, but then there's the fog and the way he moves. Like every now and then you just kind of lose him. But he will be moving towards Kolia.
Veronica does the same.
We'll say the
As
4
does
of you.
Arcadia, who paused in the doorway just to take in the area and make a few notes in his notebook before he tucked it back in his bag.
Yuna just walks up, a big smile on her face. It is good to see so many friends here. And the new one.
Yes, it is good to finally put a man to the face.
Well, here it is.
Hmm.
My face and Kaliningrad.
Have you been briefed on our mission?
I heard there was a murder.
Good. Then we can begin.
You've been made aware of your accommodations. The Kaliningrad council has spared no expense. I'm sure they would be all too happy to be acknowledged.
They will be acknowledged. But we have a mission.
Well,
You are
as I
familiar with the
understand it, I am your regional attaché. I'm no expert in the case of murder, I'm afraid. I would leave it to far more capable individuals like yourselves. I'm sure that you were sent here for a reason.
Julia, you do know that the first part of the investigation is a mere formality, truly, but to be accepted and guaranteed safety in the city, as well as be allowed to investigate this, there is a small pact that was requested, or not requested, required.
I think maybe that pact slipped Kolia's mind, unless somebody else brings it up.
Fantastic.
In that case,
Incredible.
do we have access to a body?
I believe maybe. Truthfully, I was told yesterday, or the day before yesterday.
Well,
we're all given short notice.
You're the expert. Find me a body.
Absolutely, I will get right on that. Before we progress too far, there is one formality. I do have here an oath that it's been requested that the four of you recite the oath before we can begin the investigation.
Formalities.
And you would all know this because you are entering into the protection of the local council and you will be making use of their resources. This is pretty standard. It's a contract of alliance between you all, as well as an endeavor to solve this murder. You will receive boons when you swear the pact oath. And of course, there are penalties for breaking it.
Yes.
A promise amongst friends.
Yes.
And will you be swearing the oath as well as a representative?
Let me just review my paperwork one more time.
You all would know that it is very standard for the
Yes.
representative of the city to do so.
Yes, I missed. Yes, I must have missed that. So I've never done this before, but yes, it does say here that we all swear the oath. So
are you not the representative?
Oh no, yes, that's me. That is me.
And yet you've never done this.
Not a lot of murders in Kaliningrad, if you can believe it.
Veronica looks at Arcadia and just the tiniest shake of the head.
And he just inclines his head to you in acknowledgement.
Let us get this over with.
All it requires is your signature.
All right.
I believe we should do it here.
What? Sorry?
We should open the investigation right now. Just sign.
Because you to have a pen out.
I don't have a pen on me, but if yep,
I have
yes.
several.
You're correct.
Excellent. good.
And
Yes.
you will note on the pact or the oath, which is basically like a very Soviet-looking contract. Like, it's just got that like official documentation paperwork look about it. There are 5 signature lines. Your names have already been printed on them in your seasonal order, and Kolya, your name is at the bottom, waiting to be signed.
I'll go first. And she although not on any of the portraits.
Well, 3 of these people have for sure visited the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Misha signs next. Just sort of short and to the point. There's no pomp, no circumstance, just done.
Arcadia signs after, and it is barely legible as befits a good doctor.
Easy with the good doctoring around here, okay?
Veronica's pen is a deep red ink that flows into a very elegant, very particular signature.
Kolya sighs and takes the offered pen and writes out, kind of like tries to cover it with his hand, but writes out, fuck you. And when he gets a weird look, he'll say, it's a long story.
That is your official signature on your official identification card. So that is good enough. As all of you sign, you feel the magic of the weird, which is going to be binding all of this together. It's faint because this sort of pact is pretty standard, actually. Like, there's not a lot of really fancy magic happening here, but you feel the magic sort of flow out of this contract, and it's like little gossamer spidery webs wrap you up just for a moment. And then the feeling goes away, but that sense of the bindingness of this contract stays with you. What this means is that you get 2 boons, which you'll be able to add to your sheet. You get an adroitness boon of investigation +2, which means anytime you need to use your investigation skill, you will add 2 to the dice pool. So if you have 0, you have 2. Simple as that. You also have a merit of contacts 2, which means that in the city of Kaliningrad, you are able to call on people to help you. And this can be people in the community, this can be people in the government. But basically, if you need to make that sort of connection, the Council of Kaliningrad is basically empowering you to do so with their blessing. If you break this contract, you are going to suffer banishment from the Union. This is standard. However, there aren't a lot of places else for you to go. So don't do that.
What is considered breaking it?
Yes, what is the exact wording?
So doing harm to your fellow pact members, physical harm, and betraying them, or failing to resolve or otherwise determine the killer of Dr. Morozov in a year and a day.
To be clear, it does say willingly cause physical harm, correct?
Correct.
Fantastic.
Yep.
It's very important. It's very important.
Yep.
Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, it is.
It
There's
absolutely is.
But
Yeah.
also, can you consensually cause harm to your fellow pack members? That's also an important
If they're
question.
into it, is it harm?
Correct. Here, this is it's setting. Yeah.
Because
Don't kill, maim, or betray your pact members. Is what
right. Because
going.
without the specific wording, friendly fire isn't.
Correct. In this case, that would not be considered a betrayal, and because all of you would know that your bosses have gone over this contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the wording in there is, they're fine with, which is like its own thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that the Soviet changeling contract lawyers are very busy often. So we can begin this investigation. Where do we want to go first? As Coley mentioned, there is a hotel. There is also a body.
I know where I want to go.
Hotel. Got it.
Please.
I would rather get the beach out of the way. I am not the medical. I know how to make a body. I don't know how to look over a body.
I'm assuming the body is not on the beach currently.
Nope. It is at the city coroners, or the morgue.
Yes.
City morgue.
Yes. I can take you to the morgue.
Good.
Excellent. Did they give me a car?
You have one car. You have one of the official city cars. It will fit
Cool.
all of you.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll take the middle seat.
I take the front seat.
It's an interesting ride in the back.
Does anybody want to drive? No, I'll do. Yeah. Okay.
Well, do you know where you're going?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So we're going to the morgue first and then the beach, I think, is the general consensus. Have a look at things. All right. So the car pulls away from the station, and I think we should take just a minute, sort of pull the camera back and take a lovely bird's eye view of the city itself. Kaliningrad is it's very far west on the Baltic. You actually have to go through other countries to get to it, although it is considered part of Russia at this point by a pact from 1945. There is this long, narrow spit of land in the Baltic where the beaches are that protects the Vistula Lagoon and the city from the sea itself. So there's like a very sheltered harbor, effectively. The Pregola River flows into the Baltic here, but not before it splits into two, creating these two islands in the heart of the city. From World War II, bombing and battle scars have really fucked up the center of the island. There's Oktyabrski Island, which is slowly being rebuilt, but a lot of the buildings there are still rubble. And the smaller of the two islands, Kniepov, is a wasteland. It's just ruins. There is one standing building, which is an ancient and crumbling cathedral. The city center itself fared a little better in the fighting, but it mostly is still destroyed. Entire neighborhoods of the old city are just this maze of broken buildings. The castle, which is quite famous, is ruined and barely standing. This entire city is a city where ghosts live in the heart, and we, the living, make our homes on the outskirts, always looking away towards the empty spaces outside of the city and never inwards. This is Kaliningrad as it is, but this city was once something else. An outpost of Christian German imperialism. It was founded in the 13th century by the antlered knights of the Teutonic Order. With their stark black and white heraldry stained in the blood of the native population, these warrior monks planted their standard of conquest in the frozen ground and called this place Königsberg, the King's Mountain. The Teutonic Order, Poland, Prussia, Germany, there is an unbroken chain of occupation of this place dating back hundreds of years. It is the fortress in the east of Germany. Now, some claim that chain was broken during the war against the Nazis when we seized this city as the right of conquest. But maybe we're just another chain, another link in the chain, excuse me. Those debates are meaningless for the time being because right now, the flag of the Soviet Union flies over the old Stadthaus, and this city is Kaliningrad. And it is here that the fate of the world is going to be decided. And on that note, I think we should take a little break.
Yeah, on that note, why not?
On
Why
that
not
note,
take a,
yeah,
why not take a
casual.
little
Yeah,
break?
super
Yeah, maybe we
casual.
can-
Yeah.
Okay, just
And-
real quick, just wanted to revisit what you said. You said fate of the world?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Cool.
We're
Why
gonna
would
have
you
a good
worry?
time.
Did you say antlered knights?
Yeah,
I
you
did.
say that.
Yeah, I
I
hate
did hear
that.
that.
Yep,
So-
we're
Yeah.
doing beautiful art.
You
I'm
definitely
Artist.
did
I'm
your
not
head.
worried.
You
Kolya
definitely did
doesn't
your head
look
in every
worried,
intro.
Kolya
honestly.
doesn't look worried.
Yeah, stop bullying him. If you worry him, that means he's gonna get more wrinkles, and then I won't be able to like paint as beautiful portrait as like
That's true.
as handsome as he is.
But I
You won't be
thought
able to-
I thought you painted people's inner beauty. You paint what you
I
see.
paint what I see.
I'm curious to know what Veronica's portrait looks like then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can always come visit and see it.
Yeah. Museum hours are what? 8 to 5 daily. Just swing
Basically
on by.
24/7. If you swing by, Yuna's there. So
8 to 5. You're like basically 24 hours.
Fine.
Just check my watch.
Who needs sleep?
Right. It's like, hold on.
listen,
Soviet
you walk
hours.
in.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
you walk in
Soviet.
11 p.m. Yuna's just waiting for someone
That's
to
real
come
normal.
in.
That there are a lot of
That's-
horrifying things I think we're going to learn about Yuna, and that's certainly one of them.
Yeah. She's just like,
Just in the dark, just
hey, I'm the Darkling. That's my shtick. Chill out.
Just a totally normal, sweet baby angel. Like
yeah.
everyone here except Will.
Yeah.
All right, well, are we ready to jump back in? Do we need to say anything?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Great. Okay, so the car that your Kolya is driving you in sort of takes you through the city traffic of Kaliningrad. It's reasonably busy this early in the morning, people going to work. It's a big city. There's over 1 million people who live here. Mostly it's like suburbs, but there are, or not suburbs, but like row housing and tenements. But your destination is near the heart of the city, towards where the ruins that we talked about earlier are, the city morgue. Kolya, you had a bit of information about what you might find at the morgue. Do you remember the name of the coroner or the doctor to whom you were supposed to meet?
He wasn't Ivan, was he? I have the thing here. Give me a sec. Or you can tell me. But I do have the thing right here. Morozov. No, that's who was killed. Darova? Dr. Darova?
Yes, so Dr. Galina Dorova, whom you've probably met at some function at some point that you were expected to attend. They are, I think she works at the university, the State Technical University here in Kaliningrad, maybe was a colleague of Dr. Morozov's. You met at some soiree mixer. You remember her being, well, I won't say cold, but very clinical, very professional. and the city morgue sort of reflects that in a way. Like, it is clearly her domain. It's just that, like, brutalist, concrete, no windows, sort of squat building sitting amongst, like, kind of lovely older buildings that survived the war. This might be newer. But there is a very simple, like, brass sign over the door that just says Kaliningrad City Morgue, and there are, like, a bank of doors that lead inside, and you can, like, it's dark in there. You can tell, like, somewhat, like, the windows are fogged or something, but, like, not a lot of natural light is getting into that place. But there is a parking spot. You can pull in, let everybody out.
Yeah, I'll do that. I pull in and I say, okay, we're here.
The door open. The temperature of the car rises as she leaves the vehicle.
Doctor that we're going to be meeting with knew the victim. They were colleagues of some kind, I believe.
Misha, throughout the trip, had been sort of motionless. And then when the car comes to a stop, he is immediately into action, stepping out of the car and moving forward. Seems very much about the business, like looking to get things done, not sort of bandy about.
Since getting off the train, Arcadia has done his best to have his eyes just move over Misha and not linger in any way, shape, or form. Which I don't think is noticeable to the rest of you, but it is almost to him as though Misha does not exist.
I think Yuna is legitimately the opposite. Her eyes are giving every single person a once over, noting the differences since the last time, and probably only time they've met. Making like quiet notes, and then eyes kind of trailing over to Kolya and taking intensive notes.
Kolya ain't looking at nobody.
Eyes on the road.
Yep.
My man. So I assume in your own time you all get into the morgue. It's there's like a very clinical lobby. There is a desk behind which someone probably usually sits, but there is no one there at the moment. There is an elevator to your right and like wooden doors to the left, which would probably be offices. But as the last of you walks into the building, one of the doors opens and someone...
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Hi there.
Hello.
We
Sorry.
lost you.
I know. I'm sorry.
There we go.
Where did you
He's
lose
okay.
me at?
The door opens.
The door opened. It was very dramatic.
That's
It
ominous.
was.
That's ominous.
It was very good.
It was perfect.
Dr. Darova walks out. A smaller woman dressed in a lab coat. She is also of the fairest seeming, so very glamorous. Very like put together, neat, and she looks at you all mostly with like it's like you're being weighed. You know, like there are calculations being made about all of you, who you are, your power, how dangerous you might be. And she says, well, you must be the motley.
Something like that. Where are they?
He's downstairs. If you'll follow me, please. And she goes over to the elevator, pushes the button, the doors slide open, and as she walks in, she turns around and gives probably Yuna a look of all of you and says, "This may be disturbing."
I'm ready to see.
You get an eyebrow and a nod, and then she pushes another button. And we will descend down into the actual morgue, which is new. Like, so this building is pretty new within the last 10 years. The corridors are that like tile all over the place. It's very glisteny and clean. Whoever runs this, Dr. Darova, very probably a stickler for this sort of cleanliness, which one appreciates in a morgue, I would think. It's fluorescent lighting, buzzing, and she takes you back. Like, you come out into the lobby, and there's double doors with the little circle holes in them that you can see through, and she pushes through, and you walk into the examination/operating room proper, and you are immediately hit with that smell of formaldehyde, and underneath it all, some decay. And there is a body in the center of the room on a gurney. It has a sheet over it. And she says, Dr. Morozov was a friend, but I believe in putting emotion aside when dealing with death.
Good.
Solid practice.
Hmm.
What are his effects?
There were no effects.
Not even clothes.
She just shakes her head.
Fascinating.
Veronica sets a leather doctor's bag looking thing on a table with silver detailings and opens it up and pulls out her tools.
You have seen me work, so I'm excited to see you do your work.
I do enjoy an audience. To the good doctor, I will say, do you wish to... not that good doctor. Capital, lowercase g, yeah. Lowercase d.
Because that good doctor is
To be
very,
clear,
very dead.
Let's be
Very
very
dead.
clear. Lowercase. Dr. Darova, I assume you wish to be present.
Yes. I was told to wait for you to begin, but I have conducted a preliminary examination. But if you wish to proceed, I will be happy to assist.
Good. You will do as I say. And she removes the sheet and gets to work.
So, the body under the sheet is he is... what is my notes on this? He is a water elemental kith in seeming. He's tall. Sort of thinning brown hair on top. He's got a long brown beard. His face is very he looks like a boxer, if that makes sense. Like that sort of pugnacious, his nose is broken. He's very solid as well, just like a thick set man. That is not the things that you would notice first, though. What you would notice first is that he is in fact on his back, or on his stomach. So his back is up, and his entire body has been painted in this bright, almost garish red color. Yuna, I need you to make me a clarity roll.
Okay.
So in this instance,
Uh,
I am going to tell you how many dice you have, and you're going to tell me how many successes you get.
Okay.
You have 4 dice. You need
Oh,
at least
boy.
1 success.
Okay. What's a success?
8, 9, or 10. Is that none? All right, you're going to lose a point of clarity. So you're going to drop down to 6. And
Yes, sir.
it's the smell of the paint more than the sight of it that brings you back. And you look down at your hands, which are all similarly painted, bright red. And your arms have these other, like, bright, garish colors on them. And you know you need to be running, so why aren't you? He gave you a head start. You need to use it.
She just stands there. And I think just rubs her arms back and forth.
You all see Yuna rubbing her arms. Yuna, the paint's not coming off. And you look around and you were somewhere else. Not quite sure what it was, but now you're back in the forest, which is where you were and where you need to not be.
I think there's a moment where she pats her bag to see if it's there, to see if she has her things.
She does not.
And I think she begins to run. Not very hurriedly, though.
I think Coley is standing by the door.
You can see. She's not running.
Okay.
Just up here.
Got it.
Can I see, looking at Yuna, that she's sort of like not there?
Oh yeah, like it's just.
Gotcha.
I mean, Yuna, I imagine Yuna has a little bit of a glint of humor or something in her eye. Am I wrong in that?
No, I think you're right. I think too, during this time, the smell of formaldehyde is almost, if you're paying attention, like overwhelmed by the like a very sweet, overwhelming smell of flowers.
So yeah,
Yuna.
she's just gone.
Gotcha. Yuna,
you hear his voice drifting through the trunks of the very gnarled ancient trees that you are running through. It's got a little giggle behind it. Like, Yuna.
Yuna.
Where are you? And then an arrow thuds into the tree right next to you. And you know that was a warning shot.
I think she begins laughing. And turns to face him, but continues to run backwards this time.
As you turn to face him, the world warps around you, and you come back. And you are, in fact, standing in a morgue, but you are laughing. It's a totally normal thing. Totally normal laugh.
Are you okay?
It is beautifully done.
You were lost for a moment.
Was I?
Yes.
Just remembering some things.
Indeed.
To the mission then.
Before I
Is-
begin,
Mhm.
would you like to capture a likeness?
Yes, I think I will. Thank you for the opportunity. I will treasure this.
So the sketch that you make,
Yes.
are you just sketching, or are you using the entire panoply of your whatever that word is, of your
Panoply.
paints and artistic tools?
No, I think just a sketch. Although, she'll take out her slightly larger sketchbook and goes to the first page because it's always the first page. And when she finishes the sketch of the body, I think she's going to reach into the like tube of her leather roll. She doesn't need to open it to know where things are. And she's just going to dip her pen. She's going to like take out a little red paint and dip her pen in it. And then just use that as ink and let the ink kind of like mix with the red itself.
Very good. So the sketch that you make is very good, and it details the 3 circular wounds in Dr. Morozov's back, which seem to be a perfectly formed, equidistant, upside down triangle. Like there's one, and one. If that makes sense.
Okay. I think as soon as she's done, she rips it out of her sketchbook and folds it very tightly, and tucks it into a little like inside jacket pocket.
Dr. Darova looks at Veronica. Are you ready for me to flip him?
Yes.
She does. And you see, as I've described, face and features and whatever, he looks weirdly peaceful, considering the absolute massive gaping hole in his chest cavity. Right over the heart. It looks like, for those of you who served in the war, it looks like when an artillery shell hits mud, and there's just that like weirdly layered crater. That right over his heart. But otherwise, completely normal, apart from being dead and painted.
So while Veronica is working, I'm no good at medical things, but I'm a pretty good investigator. So I want to be investigating the body while she's working, if I can.
Excellent. So for that's I'll have you make wits. Is it wits composure? Is that the
For perception, it is wits composure. Yeah.
All right. So I'll have you make wits composure to start to
Okay.
see what you can find. Veronica, I will have you make intelligence medical.
Mm-hmm. As she begins to work, she looks up at Arcadia and says, she thinks for a moment and says, "Found the D4." You said 10s explode, yes? So I'm counting the total number, right?
Total number of successes.
Okay. Total number of successes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That would be 5.
That's an exceptional success.
Nice.
It's good. Misha, what did you get for your 4 successes? All right.
So close to greatness.
You were this close. Kolya or Arcadia, is there anything that you would like to be doing while all of this is happening?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, no. Arcadia is just he loves to watch Veronica work, and in response to what she said to him, he just thinks for a moment and tilts his head unnaturally to the side and then nods and says, pawn to d5.
So, Veronica, with your exceptional success, it doesn't take you long before you realize that it wasn't the 3 puncture wounds in the back that killed Dr. Morozov, nor was it this wound that killed him. It's maybe because of the paint that's all over his body, but someone has taken his head and turned it a complete 360 degrees. Like, the vertebrae are just shattered. It would have been instant. However, the wounds on the back that he received were pre-mortem. The chest wound is post-mortem.
Fascinating. I never get to do this. I try to keep them alive longer.
Unsettling.
I
Misha,
don't imagine why.
you're going over the body in a more investigative way. You're looking for just like indications of what was going on prior to death, I assume. So the bottoms of the feet are just cut to pieces, as though running barefoot over rocks or other unforgiving substances. There's also the paint is weird. It's not it's not like a standard paint that you would go get at a tool, your local hardware store or whatever. There's something about it. It's still like tacky. Not wet, but given the amount of time that has passed since,
it should be dryish.
Yes, it is not.
I'm assuming there are Q-tips or, cotton swabs here.
Certainly.
I'm going to take one and get some of that paint. And we're just going to put it in a little vial. Actually, I'm going to hand a Q-tip of it over to Yuna.
I think Yuna, while you're like gently using a Q-tip, she is taking one of the oil knives to use to spread and just scraping a whole chunk of it off, and putting it in one of her like empty paint jars.
Oh, and just go whoop, put that in a little vial.
Yuna, I would like you to make me an intelligence.
Oh no. Well, that's fine, actually.
Actually, it will be.
You can do intelligence. It's okay.
Intelligence craft art roll.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Intelligence craft. Aye. Does this require painting?
Yes, so you would get that bonus dice.
Thank you.
We love a specialty.
Correct, the specialty.
You think? Do I?
We know.
Yay! I'm not a complete failure. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, and then
Got an exploder.
I did, but it's just 3.
So 3 successes.
Correct.
Just
Wait,
3.
sorry, 4 successes. Apologies.
Just 4. Okay.
Yes.
Whomst amongst us has not thought, only 4 successes.
Listen.
So you scrape this paint off, and again, it's like the formaldehyde over everything. But since your memory, it comes back to you so very strongly. This is a special paint mixture that you are intimately familiar with. You haven't used it in 15 and a half years, roughly. And the components to make it, well, I don't think anyone's been to the Laughing Lord's Forest in quite some time.
I think before she puts it away, she'll take a small dab of it on her finger and put it on her wrist and kind of like rub it in like perfume. And then tuck it into her little satchel.
Cool. I like that.
Clocking that, because what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
So checking the feet, you said they're torn up like they were running over rocks.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3 points. Does it look like they were? Does it look like it was one thing with 3, or was it 3 separate with just really good aim?
The latter, because Dr. Darova sees you like looking at this. She says, I'm sorry, you asked about effects.
Yes.
These are not technically effects. They are, well, they were found in him. And she takes out a little bundle that's wrapped up, and she puts it on the table next to the body and sort of unfurls it. And there are 3 arrows on the table. And each of them, like the tip is soaked in blood, but each of them has like a barber's pole style paint job on them, like very bright, like red and yellow, blue and green, pink, purple, like they're very over the top. And the feathers are like not quite peacock feathers, but like they're very stylish, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Quite beautiful.
Too bright.
They are the most beautiful.
Do you recognize them then?
My memory is not what it used to be, I suppose. It's not a memory I'd like to.
That does not answer my question.
I think it answered more than perhaps Yuna would like.
I share to help my friends.
Unanswered questions do not get the job done.
I would expect the Herald of Winter to be able to read between the lines.
Oh, I can.
Good.
Very not.
There's a moment looking right at you. You could swear he would be like, new chess move, but he doesn't say anything. Like, You can tell, even with the mask, there's a little snark there, but it's fine.
I
Dr.
have a
Darova.
theory.
Yes, Kolya?
Believe this man was shot to death with arrows.
You are very astute, and I would imagine also wrong. He looks to Veronica.
A small nod. Knight to F3. His neck broken. Beautifully.
You
Elegant.
said looks at the neck now? He's like, what the?
No, it is broken beautifully. You can barely tell.
Mhm.
Like it's because we were rooting around that we were able to discover this.
All the way around. Like a bottle. Would take an amount of force to do such a thing.
They are at once precise and careless.
I wonder what he is dreaming of.
It would be good to know, would it not? I do wonder, though. I took all of the time to remove his effects, but leave the arrows. What a choice to make. What kind of message would one send with such a thing?
But it's more than that. If you shoot someone, why would you break their neck afterwards? There's only one reason I can think of. Mercy.
The doctor is looking at all of this and is like, not sure if that is comfort or even worse.
Given what happened to his chest afterwards, I'm inclined to agree. Is the heart still there?
No.
Is it exploded, not there, or removed, not there?
You got an exceptional success. It is exploded, not there.
A lot going on here.
Question. Is it explode in or is the explode out?
You would think that the explosion is a result of the impact, if that makes sense. It wasn't the heart itself that exploded. Out or in, it was that something hit and caused.
Right, that's actually what I was checking. Something impacted. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Does it look blunt or like
hard to tell? The force that impacted caused such a significant distortion that without quite a bit more examination and probably some Arcadia and Veronica mathing and plotting, that answer is not readily available.
Okay. Last little investigation. I want to see if there's any little fibers, like any like small thing left behind by accident.
All right, so in that case, that would be what is it? Wits and investigation?
Happily.
Alex.
Yes.
Could I actually take a look at
I think, this is pretty significant. I want to
Yes, that is a point for those who have not played the system. You have a number of willpower, and you can spend 1 willpower to get 3 bonus dice on a roll. You regain willpower by doing the sleeps, and nothing from him, nothing from the assailant.
Whoever this is annoyingly good. He's
Okay,
clean.
Arcadia. The paint. So thing one, the state of it is wrong. It doesn't move like paint. There is some other. You think it's because paint is a solid suspended in a liquid, right? We're not going there. We're not going there. That liquid is usually water. The liquid that this is suspended in might be blood. It might be something else, but there's a third element that you are not familiar with at all. That is giving it this sort of tackiness that maintains long after. And I think once you realize that, I'm going to have you make me a clarity roll.
Ooh,
Cool.
Can I say, since Arcadia is messing with the paint, I think Yuna is hovering. It's like so curious. She's never seen paint used this way before. It's very fun.
So Arcadia, it's 5 dice for your clarity roll.
5 dice. Okay. Three successes.
All right, so you don't lose a point of clarity, but you have this memory of Arcadia lost before the fall. There are paints, there are things there that certain Fey Lords would commission paintings of like people crying, and the paint would just be a continual like tears because of the substances that were used to create them. This is along those lines. It's not exactly it, but there you do have this memory, and for a moment it's very, very strong. And then you come back to yourself, looking at the paint.
He does his best to ignore that and doesn't really glance at Yuna, but just says to her, "May I help you?"
Just observing. You paint beautifully.
That is certainly a way to describe science.
Now, if there is anything else, and Dr. Derova is like cleaning up. We've done the autopsy. We've done the various things. If there's anything else, I will just need you to come to my office and sign off on the paperwork.
I do have a question.
Hmm?
I don't know how to put this delicately, so I'm not going to. Has he consumed anything lately that might tell us where he was prior?
No.
Or is he weirdly empty?
Empty stomach contents.
Okay. Veronica meticulously cleans all of her tools. Almost ritually cleans everything. Puts it away.
All right, so we will go up to the office. She's got a nice office. It's still very like immaculate and neat and clean. But she's like going through the paperwork. She gets it out. It's like basically like release of corpse so that we can then turn it over to whoever is going to deal with it. And since you are the investigators and Dr. Morozov has no known family, you are the ones who get to sign off on that. I know, right? So is anyone not signing? Or who is signing, I guess is the question.
I'm signing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
our two favorite corpse aficionados / paint aficionados sign off on it. And Veronica, you are dotting your I and crossing your T when there is a loud klaxon. Like, "Brrr, brrr." And there's a little light above her like desk that starts spinning. And it's, red casing. And she looks up, confused, and then there's like a little intercom on her desk that crackles to life. And you hear, Dr. Darova, we have a problem. She looks and she's like, come with me. She's going to the security office.
I follow.
We're going.
So it's one of those, it's early days of security cameras, so everything's very grainy. But she pulls you in there and there's like a bank of monitors and they're all labeled, office, blah, blah, blah. And the one that she's looking at is the center one that says examination room. And it's just this very grainy footage of the body, which has been covered up. And there's like a lab assistant or morgue assistant like going around and like cleaning up, picking things up. And when their back is turned is when the sheet just falls off the corpse. And you see a hand twitch.
Fascinating.
And she slams this button. The alarm goes off. But the last thing you hear is metallic doors slamming shut and sealing the morgue. And that is where we are going to end tonight's adventure.
Yay!
Oh, what fun.
On a good note.
Delightful.
Is it?
Fascinating.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm saying.
Cool. All right. Hey, you all survived your first session.
Yay!
Was
We rolled
that in
dice.
doubt?
We rolled dice. We made a pact. We made new friends. We investigated a body. It was all fun.
So fun.
Oh gosh.
We had some trauma memories. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was
all
so
good.
fine. It was
was
fun
fun.
and fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah, no, me too. I got to make some art.
Yeah.
We played I Spy in the back of the car.
Oh, you did? I wasn't there at the time. I'm sorry.
You were great at it.
Oh,
No,
was that
he was not.
fantastic?
All right. Well, what else do you say? We're meeting again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Catch us.
Yeah, we'll be
catch
back
the
in
next
2
bit.
weeks.
It's gonna be good. They'll probably survive.
Yeah.
Put it on the
I mean,
cover.
if this episode was any indication, we're looking good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what could
Good.
go wrong?
Super.
What could go
So
wrong?
good. So good. Everything's fine.
I think I need to ask Will. Will, are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm so good. I didn't die this session.
You
Yeah,
did.
correct. You sure did.
Super fun.
Very proud of all of you. Thank you for being patient with me on my first ever Changeling the Lost game running.
Thanks for running it.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, this is so good, Alex.
So
This is
exciting.
amazing.
If you
Oh.
don't think that I will be spending the next 2 weeks frantically rereading the rulebook again for combat rules. Got another thing coming. Don't worry about it.
Here's the
There's
thing,
gonna be
though.
combat?
I
Yeah.
can't wait.
I know that 2 of these characters are armed.
It's true. And one of them is just always strapped. Just bam. Remember? Exactly.
Bam.
See?
Right.
Exactly.
I
You
am
will
Does that
interested.
count?
Actually,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
absolutely.
I do know that 3 of these characters are armed, and one of them is always armed. So we'll see who the unarmed person is next week.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
Listen, now I get to ask him what he was dreaming about. This is all great.
Yeah,
Luna
I
is
get to
having
use
the
my
time of
other
her life.
skills.
That's right.
Excellent.
All right. Well, shall we say goodnight, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to start us off?
Yeah,
How do you
sure.
say
I'll do
goodnight
that.
in Russian?
Hey, everybody. I'm Alex. I ran this game. I'm Mightiest Finn on Twitter and whatever other social medias I eventually go to. I write games in the Backwards tabletop universe, including Backwater and Backroads, which are American Gothic and Southern Gothic horror role-playing games. If you want a little of that in your life, you can check us out on Itch. We've got 2 projects coming out. Backwoods, which is set in New England, and Back Channels, which is set in Florida, the Bahamas, and the Gulf. There's a Kickstarter page for those right now. If you are interested in knowing more about those games, there is a Backwoods game that you can check out on this very channel, on the VOD or on YouTube. It's probably not just on YouTube at this point, Founders Day. We also have Mayday Roleplay going to put out a Back Channels game very soon, which is exciting. Otherwise, I don't know what else. I'm running this. That's what I'm doing right now, and that's good enough for me. So I've got other projects with other people that will be announced on my Twitter or social medias when I announce them. But thank you all. This is wonderful, and I'm very excited to do horrible things with you.
Thank you, Alex. We love that for us.
I'm so excited.
So excited.
I'm so high in the alphabet with this group. Hello, I'm Paris Arcadia. You can find me over on all of the socials as Farrakaya, as well as at Crossroads Games. I'm here tomorrow night also. And we have a finale at Crossroads tomorrow as well, and a new thing coming the week after that I am running, which is very exciting, and I'm super excited for y'all to see it. So check me out.
Hell yeah.
I am JD. I can be found on socials at JD, not Jason Dean, and I will be back here so many days in a row because I will be running the previously mentioned game tomorrow, which is our continuation of our Dark Academia Call of Cthulhu game with the find out table now that we've done the fucking around. So that's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, incredible cast, and then I will be back running a second horror game, Redacted, on Thursday with another great group of people, 2 of whom are sitting here as well. And then I will return for a 3rd time on Friday for Thy Kingdom Come, where I will be a player and get to play my sad boy who is fine and is totally a saint, and it's okay. It's totally good.
Well,
and I do a lot of other things. I've realized I'm in like everything that Live from the Apocalypse is doing, either running it or playing in it, except for Veilbreakers.
And I know I feel, except not anymore. Now it's just JD. Q.
Hello, it's Q. Midnight Inc. That's Midnight_INQ. Q is my name. I'm sure you get it. I am a part of the production team for Tales from the Table Studios. I'm also one of the players for the Successor States of Rhaegar. Almost forgot the name of the daggum show. It's fine. That is every other Thursday. The Thursday opposite that, I am playing Redacted, which is JD's own creation, his own Powered by the Apocalypse system called Synchronicity, I believe. It's real fun. We have already gotten spicy. So it's a lot of fun. Come and see that. Friday, over at Tales from the Table Studios, we should be doing a bit of magic. Magic the Gathering. Oh my god, that was adorable.
I love Magic the Gathering. God damn it.
I mean, then you can join us, though. How about that?
That would mean I have to find all of my cards.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And then next Monday, we will you'll see me over with Bleak Season playing Mouse Guard, and Raph will be there too. We're playing Cute Mice. I'm playing the good boy with the shield, having a great time. And I think other than that, we have other projects in the works, but I can't talk about those yet. Excited though. That's it. That's me.
Classic. Can't talk about it. Tease.
Hello, I'm Raph. I've been. Don't laugh at me. How dare you? I've been Yuna tonight. Tomorrow, nothing. Thursday. Thursday, I'll be playing Sophie in Redacted. Q already kind of mentioned it, so did JD. I'm very excited. We are already kind of in the shitter, and it's only episode 3, so we'll see how it goes. And then I'm looking at my calendar. Monday is Mouse Guard. I'm playing a little cutie named JoJo, just trying their best. And then on Tuesday, I will be back here for class reunion, playing the biggest of boys, who's just a little eepy, just a little bit eepy. Okay, he's fine. He's chilling.
Birds love him, men fear him.
Fucking crows, ravens love him. Most everyone else does not.
You know who else loves him? I'm just putting that out there.
Simon.
I will fight you, Will. I will fight you.
Anyway, come catch some spicy CW level drama over at Class Reunion.
It's true.
Anyway.
Hello, my name is Will. I'm one of the storytellers and the organizers here. There's a social media link somewhere down there. I'm at a Will M Scream, pretty much everywhere. I do a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be in the game tomorrow night. I'm actually not going to be back until Sunday. Sunday, we are going to be rescheduling our Academy H recording from this past Sunday, which would have happened, but it didn't happen. So this Sunday night, we are going to be recording 2 new episodes of our Masks Actual Play podcast. Unfortunately, sans Jamie, which is very sad. They cannot make it, but we will carry on, and it's going to be very good. And you should check it out if you want to. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, check out Academy H. It's our Masks Actual Play podcast that is on whatever platform you listen to those on. That's Sunday, and then Tuesday, I'll be running Class Reunion, which started as a D&D game and is now just a CW drama where sometimes we roll dice. I think that is pretty much it for the foreseeable future. I'm got some time on my hands these days, which is not the worst thing. That's going to be it for me, I think. But on that note, thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. There are some social links in the chat. If you're not already following us, feel free to do that. There is also a link to the Discord community if you would like to join that. It's a great place full of great people. We would love to have you there. And that's just going to do it for us tonight. So we are going to disappear in just a second, but we are going to raid. I think we can actually catch, and we're going to raid our friends at Bad House RPG who are streaming Itaewon by night. We almost always miss this. We are almost always finishing up at the same time, but tonight I think we are earlier enough. So we're going to raid Bad House RPG. There should be 2 raid messages in the chat. There we go. If you happen to be subscribed, you can copy paste the first one. If not, you can grab the second one. But either way, please come along, say hi to Bad House with us. And I think on that note, award-winning, that's true. Just saying. On that note, I think say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night.